Okay, we're back talking about the Fly Classic tuning. As they say, there is 1,000 ways to dissect a fly. This is just my method that I've learned throughout the years from other very advanced racers. Their results have convinced me this is the way to go, so I just follow it. Anyway, we've already talked about the piano wire here to stiffen the chassis and to flatten it, to add some strength, and the tubing that we've put in the front for the solid front axle. Now we're going to talk about the pod itself. Most of these chassis, these Fly Classic chassis, have this pod that will pop right out. What I like to do, cleaning it up, is to deburr the pod. Sometimes there's some flash molding on these edges. It's not really sitting flat, it might sit a little crooked. So you can just take a little sandpaper and go around and just clean it up that way. You can use a file to do the same thing to clean that up. Just to deburr it, to make sure there's no excess plastic hanging off, anything that's going to keep it from sitting flat. Same thing on the inside of the chassis. I just go through and clean it up. Looked like there was a little bit of glue or something there, so after washing this chassis and cleaning it, then I just took some sandpaper, one on the inside here, deburred it, cleaned it all up, so that when it's installed back in the chassis, it sits nice and flush like it's supposed to. You'll be able to check, look, make sure that it's sitting where it's supposed to. Nice and clean fit. Also talked about doing the trimming of the chassis on the outside, radiusing as we call it. I've trimmed all around these edges very carefully back here and in the front, so that when the chassis is on the body, we line it up, and you'll notice there's a little bit of gap there. It sits nice and clean, no binding, and should provide us with some nice body float there. So all in all, we're progressing nicely. It's taking me a little time, but we're getting there. Oh, and one more thing before I forget. This is a small thing, but something that Fly and other companies are famous for. These little post melts right here, where they melt the plastic to attach items. Sometimes the headlight buckets here has excess flash molding and stuff, and it can interfere with the way the body fits on the chassis. In this case, you'll notice right here that when you put this on the chassis, that it comes very close to rubbing where the front axle goes through. In fact, this one was rubbing, stopping it from mounting cleanly, so I took a file, put it against here, cleaned up that plastic, and double checked to make sure that we didn't have any rubbing. So, hope this helps you in your Fly Classic tuning. We'll continue on with some running gear in a little while.